I'm going to go with the two MVPs of each league championship series. Of course, I'm talking about in the American League, Adolis García. What he did in that series was absolutely remarkable. 15 RBIs, that's the most ever in a postseason series. We talk all the time about how expanded playoffs kind of skew the statistics, how you can't use really counting numbers because there are more games and players can compile more numbers. Well, a 7-game series is a 7-game series. We've had them forever in this sport, going back to the olden days. And Adolis García had the most RBIs ever in a postseason series, 15. 13 of those RBIs were in the final 4 games of the series. 9 were in the final 2 games. Think about all this. And think about the circumstances. Game 5 of the ALCS, you know what happened. 3-run shot, go-ahead shot by Garcia. The series tied 2-2. He gets drilled by Bryan Abreu. He turns to Martin Maldonado. The bench is clear. They empty. The bullpens come running in, as they always do. And Adolis García, from that point on, becomes villain number 1 in Houston, where this series returned to for Games 6 and 7. What happens in Game 6? He strikes out 4 times in his first 4 at-bats. And then, with the boos growing progressively louder all night, he hits a grand slam. And that set the stage for Game 7, 4 for 5, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, MVP. I wrote it. This guy now must be considered a superstar in the sport. And I got some comments back. 824 OPS, only ranked 20. Stop it, guys. Stop it. You don't have to be in the top 10 OPS to be a superstar. And yes, he's a flawed player in some ways, even though he's a brilliant 5-tool talent. Adolis García, dude of the week, superstar in the sport. In the NLCS, Ketel Marte, kind of a similar story. Like Garcia, he's 30 years old. Garcia made 2 All-Star teams in his career. Ketel Marte's only made 1. He's been a really good player for a long time, but just one-time All-Star. Well, what has he done in winning the National League Championship Series MVP? He is a guy who has a 16-game hitting streak to start his postseason career. Now, of course, that spans before this series as well, but here it is. Sarah Langs gives us this. 16-game hitting streak, tied for the 4th longest in postseason history. Behind Manny Ramirez, 2003 and 4, 17-game hitting streak. Derek Jeter, also 17 games. And Hank Bauer, 1956 to 58. So if Ketel Marte gets hits in the first 2 games of the World Series, he'll have the longest hitting streak in the postseason ever. It will be 18 games at that point. That's an amazing accomplishment. And really, it's good to see him get his due because guys do get lost a little bit in Arizona. He's had a little bit of inconsistency. Ketel Marte, he's bounced between second base and center field, but he's their guy in many ways. And he's a guy they acquired. You go back to 2016. They acquired him from Seattle with Taijuan Walker. That was the trade for Mitch Haniger, Gene Segura, and Zach Curtis. I would say now we can safely say it's a win for Arizona. It's a good trade for both, actually. But Ketel Marte, great performance. They needed some veteran stability with this team. Now, Evan Longoria gets a lot of credit for that, but Ketel Marte's been around too. And he had a great series, NLCS MVP, dude of the week, along with Adolis García.